When I reviewed the Polestar 2 in October of last year, I basically ended that video by telling you guys to go and buy a Tesla Model 3 instead of a Polestar 2. I have since then had extensive seat time in both the Polestar 2 and the Tesla Model 3. I have driven them, in between probably 10,000 kilometers and had more than a month behind the wheel together. So I have had both cars for an extended period of time. And if you have watched my videos of late, you may have noticed that I have actually done a 180 and changed my mind completely about which car I think you should buy. I touched a little upon this in my Don't Buy video of the Polestar 2 and my Don't Buy video of the Tesla Model 3. If you want to check those videos out, link in the description box down below. My Don't Buy series is kind of my review series, but I do it a bit different than a review. It's in my own style, the way I like to do a review of a car, what I find important. But in this video, I'm gonna dive deep into the comparison bit more. So we're gonna go through in detail, point by point, so you guys can, see my thought process and how I resonate and why I choose one car over the other. The way I want to do this is that I want to go through category for category, and then the car that does it best in that category is awarded 1 point. And if the cars are closely matched, they will get 1 point each. Equally or closely matched, we'll just give the cars 1 point each. And this doesn't, necessarily reflect upon how I evaluate a car in the real world, in a review, or while purchasing a car, because one category may outweigh another category 2 to 1, 10 to 1. It really doesn't matter. The point of this is to give you guys, an overview of my process and to be able to compare these cars more on paper. And the way you evaluate one category may be different to another category. That's why it's not really a point system, but at the end of the video, we will look at, the points just to see which car did fare the best. According to the WLTP, the Tesla Model 3 has a range of 580 kilometers. This car in comparison can only go 470 kilometers on a single charge. So that is a 110 kilometer difference. But in reality, the difference is smaller. Let me explain. So first off, Tesla are a company that often struggles to hit its claimed EPA or WLTP numbers. There have been written many articles and done many videos on this topic, so that isn't news for anybody. And Polestar aren't much better, but they are a little bit better, and the tests I have done comparing these two cars show that the Tesla Model 3 only has about a 20% advantage when it comes to range. So still quite substantial, and where this car, will have around a 400 kilometer real world range, the Tesla Model 3 will still be able to go about 480 kilometers. So that is still a substantial difference. But I mean, to put this into perspective, 400 kilometers on a single charge isn't bad. And if you want to travel with these cars on a long trip, stopping after 3 or 4 hours, well, that is something I would actually prefer, and my body needs to go to the restroom and take, a break, stretch my legs, and get something to drink. And guys, if you want to see how this car fared with the software update in the Norwegian high-speed run, which is, the test I do where we try to travel as quickly as possible with charging, link in the description box down below, because you may be surprised how closely it actually is matched after the software update to the Tesla Model 3, even though it on paper has less range. Is there any point in comparing battery sizes when the Tesla Model 3 can already travel 20% further on a charge with a smaller battery pack than this car? I mean, the Tesla Model 3 has a net battery capacity of 70 kilowatt hours, and this has a battery capacity of 75 kilowatt hours net. Isn't the whole point of a bigger battery to go as far or further as the competition? Well, that is all true, but it's not that simple, because Tesla have been at this game for about 15 years. They have a huge head start on everybody else, and that is the reason why people think they are such a great EV company. And I agree with that, and that's also the reason why they have this advantage in efficiency, because they do make the most efficient EVs. The Tesla Model 3 2021 model with the heat pump is basically the most efficient EV out there on the market, and people may argue that the Hyundai Ioniq is more efficient, and that may be true when you compare the cars without a heat pump. But now that the Model 3 has a heat pump, well, that is a different story. I'm going to argue that the Tesla Model 3 actually is the most efficient. And I'm not saying that this car will ever be as efficient, even how many updates and upgrades and things they do. But the Tesla Model 3 being, the product of many years of making EVs, many years of improving thing after thing after thing, puts it at the cutting edge. And that also means that the improvements that come will also be smaller and smaller and smaller as you get to that maximum efficiency. But this Polestar 2 started at the back of the pack with a company that hasn't been making EVs for, 10 years or 15 years. So its improvements, or at least the potential improvements, are bigger. So every time the improvements come, they may be bigger and bigger and bigger. And still, Tesla keep improving their vehicles. But, the race is a little like this, where you have Tesla here, you have Polestar here, and while, Tesla is pulling ahead, Polestar will just slightly gain a little bit, and it may never come here. It may never come here, but there are a few things that will come with this car that will, put it maybe there, because this car will hopefully later this year be equipped with a heat pump, and this has been confirmed by Polestar. And we also know that the Volvo XC40 P8 Recharge, which is the sister company or the sister car to this, built on the same platform, already comes with a heat pump. So if we take the Tesla Model 3 numbers, where we have the heat pump versus not heat pump, the heat pump cars got about a 10% bump in efficiency. If we apply that to this car, and that we also consider that this car will, keep coming with the software updates. Polestar just released a software update this month, giving this car increased efficiency and range. They haven't said by how much, but it is a little bit. So a little bit here, a little bit there will, add up to more at the end. And also if they come with a smaller wheel package, because the Tesla Model 3 has 18-inch wheels, 235/45 18s, and this has 245/45 19. So smaller sidewall, and also, a bigger rim, and also wider tires. So if this car comes with smaller wheels, more, over-the-air updates, improving efficiency, and also the heat pump, it's reasonable to think that this car at one point soon, like within a year or two, come to within 10% in range of a Model 3. So it still won't be as efficient, and I don't think they will ever be able to make this car as efficient as that. But then the bigger battery pack will really be an advantage. So it may not be, you may not see that as an advantage now, but later on it will just become bigger and bigger and bigger. And the way we can calculate this is if we take like a motorway consumption in the summertime of a Tesla Model 3 long range, let's say about 15 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. So if you take that 70 kilowatt hour battery pack divided by 15, you get a theoretical range of 467 kilometers. But this car, even with a 10% increase in efficiency, in consumption, it is at 16.5 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, which is still quite substantial, but it has a bigger battery pack. So if you take that 75 kilowatt hour battery pack divided by 16.5, you get a theoretical range of 454 kilometers. That is 13 kilometers apart. I'm not saying we will get there. We may get there, we may not get there, but the whole point is just to illustrate that the bigger battery pack really does matter more and more as these cars keep getting better and better. Oh, guys, this was a huge reason why I dismissed the Polestar 2 in my review last year. And for 2020 models, Polestar 2 versus Model 3, that still holds true, everything I said about charging. But for the 2021 model year, it's a completely different story. So this car still charges slowish. 10 to 80% state of charge still takes you about 46 minutes. Linked to all my tests of, the data I'm sharing with you guys here in the description box down below. So that 10 to 80% state of charge in the Polestar 2, 46 minutes with an average charging speed of 74.5 kilowatts. It's slowish. it's not fast by any, you know, stretch of the imagination, and it's a bit disappointing. And I have said this so many times. I mean, I've exhausted this point so many times. You people are probably tired of listening to it. But when I did the same test with the 2021 Model 3 long range with the new LG battery pack, it only charged at 86 kilowatts in average charging speed from 10 to 80% state of charge, which is about 11 or 12 kilowatts quicker than the Polestar 2. Not a huge difference. Though the time difference is a bit bigger, because where the Polestar 2, you know, took 46 minutes, the Model 3 took 37 minutes. So that's a 9-minute difference, but still not huge, not as big as the 20 models, where the 2020 Model 3 would charge at an average speed, according to the graphs I could find online, of around 150 kilowatts. So the 2021 models of both cars charge significantly slower. But this car has just been updated. And I was skeptical because pre-update I wasn't ever able to get close to that claimed 150 kilowatts of charging speed. But I'm happy to report that maximum speed I have seen with this car is 151 kilowatts. Finally, Polestar! Yes, yes. And the 10 to 80% state of charge test I did with pre-update only connected to a 150 kilowatt charger, because I forgot that this car charged quicker than 150 kilowatts. You can't blame me, because before it wasn't able to get close. Like 136 was its peak, and suddenly it can charge faster than 150. Well, that is a surprise, right? So I didn't think of that after I did the test. But at a 150 kilowatt charger, this car charges 10 to 80% in 37 minutes. Exactly the same time as the 21 model Tesla Model 3. It has also an average charging speed of 96 kilowatts, because remember, it has a bigger battery pack. So when it comes to charging, as it is for now, this car has the edge. But we still know that, you know, Tesla often, you know, unlock more and more speeds as, you know, the cars have been on the market for a longer time. And since the LG battery pack is a new battery pack, people are speculating that this is the limited speed now and that they will unlock more and more speed. So that may be true, but as it sits now, this car charges as quickly in time, but quicker when it comes to charging speed. And Polestar have also shown that they also have more power to unlock with this battery pack. So give it a flatter charging curve. I don't care that much about the peak speed, but give it a flatter charging curve and we'll be there. I mean, but that's pretty awesome. But 37 minutes, also 96 kilowatts, yeah, that point goes to this car. This was one of my huge complaints last year when I drove the Polestar 2, and was actually a deal breaker for me, because I actually got lower back pains while driving the Polestar 2. I wasn't able to find a comfortable seating position, especially in city driving. It was better while on the, you know, the open road and on the motorway. Thankfully, guys, I have since then, this is my third time driving a Polestar 2 for an extended period of time, I have been able to find a comfortable seating position. I had to fiddle about, and there's still an issue with the dead pedal. It is still a bit too close for comfort, but I can combat this by putting the seat in more of an angle, so I can, you know, get my legs a little bit more comfortably away from the dead pedal. Still, it's not optimal, and the steering wheel still doesn't have enough rake for me. I still wish I could just pull the steering wheel just about 2 centimeters closer. It would be perfect, but it's still good. It's about maybe 8.5 or 9 out of 10. But that brings us to the Model 3, where it has just much more adjustability in the seat and in the steering wheel, and you don't have the dead pedal as close. So the seating position in the Model 3 is still better, though I think the seat in this car is so much better. This is one of the best seats I have ever sat in. But this is, well, Polestar is a sister company to Volvo, and this is basically a Volvo seat, and yeah, Volvo do the best seats in the industry. And then we have the center console, where I still find this cabin a bit cramped for its class. I don't know why they made it so big, but I can live with that. The worst thing is the lack of storage and the ergonomics. So you still have the cup holder placed in a stupid position. You still have the dumb charger that actually doesn't, it can't even, it's a wireless charger that, you know, some wireless chargers are that bad that the best thing they do is hold the charge. This doesn't even hold my charge. On my Norwegian high-speed run, which, yeah, was over a 7-hour trip, I went from 49% to 7% on my phone while it being on the wireless charging pad. Yeah, that it just doesn't work. So the ergonomics, the storage is just laughable here, and the Model 3 does that so much better. Yeah, this one is a no-brainer and there's no competition. I mean, the Tesla Model 3 is a good-looking car, but this is a stunning-looking car and one of the best car designs in modern history, in my opinion. So I'm just gonna leave it there. Okay, when it comes to performance, these two cars are so closely matched. I mean, 4.4 seconds, 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in the long range versus 4.7 in this car. Of course, you can step up to the performance in the Tesla Model 3, then you get 3.2 seconds, but again, that's a more expensive car. I think it's more fair to compare this with the long range, and that there's basically no difference. And in my opinion, this actually feels quicker. So stomp on the throttle and I mean, it's quick enough, and the urgency and the immediacy in this compared to the Model 3, I think is even more pronounced. This feels quicker in my opinion. And then you have the driving dynamics. I mean, they are both sporty, and I actually prefer the steering in this, but I do think the Model 3 maybe is a little bit more darty in the steering. This is a bit slower, but this has more feel in my opinion. But yeah, they are very closely matched when it comes to driving dynamics also. Both are very, very sporty. So it's a wash, so 1 point to each. When it comes to comfort, this car is in a completely different league. I mean, it plays a completely different sport to the Tesla Model 3. You can't even compare them. It's like sitting on a wooden chair and comparing that to a first-class seat on an airplane. There really is such a huge difference. I mean, this car is so comfortable, and not only is it more comfortable, it just irons out the bumps. So bumps that would have been there in the Tesla Model 3 just are non-existent in this car, and it's just so much more comfortable to ride in. And then you have just the overall feel of solidity. I mean, I've said it so many times, this car feels like a tank to drive. It feels like it's not going to break down at any time in the next 200 years, and it's just going to soldier on because it just feels so solid. While the Tesla Model 3 kind of felt brittle and, you know, felt like it wasn't really put together that well. And then you have the NVH levels. I mean, the quietness in this cabin is so much better than on the Tesla Model 3. So all those things combined makes this car, yeah, so much better. And I mean, in this category, I would probably award it 5 points, but we can only give it 1 point. I do like the interior of the Tesla Model 3. I mean, the front cabin roominess and the practicality is second to none. Materials are quite nice. I mean, build quality is nothing to complain about, but this just takes it to a different level. And just to be said, materials aren't always as good as in the Tesla, but that just goes to say that it's not always about materials, it's about how it's put together and how solid it all works together. Because this cabin, even though some materials, you know, are a bit scratchy and, you know, not the best of quality, it just feels so much more solid in here and nicer and more pleasurable than in the Model 3. The layers of materials just work so much better. And then you have the switchgear. Well, the Model 3 basically doesn't have any switchgear because everything is controlled by the touchscreen. But here, everything you touch and press and feel feels of high quality. So I just prefer the design of this interior and also the build and the quality. Then lastly, guys, we have the tech, where I think these two cars are equally matched and I can't actually decide between which of them are the best. So first off, you have the Tesla with that huge central display, 15 inches horizontally. It's big, it's bold, it's beautiful, but it displays everything and controls everything. So you don't even have, you know, a digital readout or a gauge or a screen in front of the driver to portray, you know, simple information. This actually has a 13-inch full digital gauge cluster with Google Maps and all the information you need right in front of the driver. It also has a central display at 11 inches horizontally, smaller than what you would find in the Tesla, but yeah, you have two screens here and you can choose which of the screens you want to portray the information on each of them. On both, you can just customize everything. So I actually personally prefer this, but I'm not saying that this is better than the other, because the screen in the Tesla is quite awesome also. But the Tesla also has autopilot, which arguably is better than pilot assist, which this car comes with. So yeah. And then this car also has Android Automotive Infotainment System, which gives you Google Assistant. So that's also a huge plus. So I'm going to give 1 point to each car for the tech. When we stack up the points, there is one clear winner, and that is the Polestar 2. But as I said in the beginning of the video, the point system isn't set, and what I give points for, you may give a different value for points. Like ride and comfort and VH levels, interior quality are things I value very highly, and I would probably give more than 1 point and value it more than performance and range and other things. At the end of the day, it really matters what you think and what you value, but I just wanted to make a video where I would go more into detail and explain why I choose the Polestar 2 instead of the Tesla Model 3 as it sits now in February 2021. So guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please drop me a thumbs up down below, and for more car content, as always guys, please subscribe. See you guys there, and goodbye.